We will today start with the lookup functions. We have already done the VLOOKUP function, the XLOOKUP function, the HLOOKUP function in the previous live sessions. Today, as you are all waiting for, we will be doing nested VLOOKUP and nested index and match. We did in the last session the functions for index and match. We also did VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Now, what is nested VLOOKUP? You might have not heard of this name before. So, nested means when you nest a function inside a another function. So, when I say nested if, so it means that an if inside of an if inside of an if. So, if you have not seen that video, the if function, I would suggest you please go and watch that video for the if functions, how we nest different functions and or not in the if function. Now coming back to the nested VLOOKUP. So what does nested VLOOKUP means? Does it mean VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP? Yes, it does. So VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP is called a nested VLOOKUP. So we are nesting VLOOKUP function. We are adding VLOOKUP function inside of a VLOOKUP function. So you might say, okay, how will that happen? So remember in the first session I explained about the parameters of the functions. There are arguments that you need to solve. Now that arguments can come from uh, the function. You can put a value, you can put another function, or you can refer it to some other cell. So it can be anything. In our example that we will learn today, we will be using a VLOOKUP function along with another VLOOKUP function which will help us get or complete those parameters. So without wasting the time, let's start. So if you have joined for the first time, let's start with the first basic of what is a VLOOKUP function. So over here, I'm on my screen. You should be looking at the screen right now, lookup and reference functions. We got some Aadhaar numbers, employee names and their compensation and their dependents over here. And just a friendly reminder, these are random generated names and numbers, and the Aadhaar numbers. Don't think this is a real Aadhaar number. Don't try to get a phone number for this Aadhaar number. These are all just random numbers. So we have these Aadhaar numbers here. We have their employee names. We have their compensation and how many dependents they have. Now this is first portion of this list. Now let me see. Now this is the first part of this list. I'll call this number 1. Now this is, oh sorry, let me bring it back. Now this is the second portion of this list. Now this list can be in this sheet, it can be on a different sheet, it can be anywhere. In our example, it's on the same sheet. Now what we want to do here is in another sheet we may have some departments. We have their Aadhaar numbers, we have their Aadhaar hire date and number of years. We need to calculate their compensation. What is the compensation they have based on the Aadhaar numbers? So of course, what is the main unique item we have in both these lists is the Aadhaar number. And of course, based on your experience, you would know that should I be using a VLOOKUP as an approximate match or an Aadhaar match? Put your answer in the comment box, and for every correct answer, I will put a like button on it or a heart symbol, so you would know that this is the right answer. So which VLOOKUP I will be using? Should I be using a VLOOKUP approximate match or a VLOOKUP exact match? And you will of course get an answer in a few minutes, but do it now because this is a live session. So we have these Aadhaar numbers here. We have these Aadhaar numbers here. Of course, I want to match these Aadhaar numbers exactly the way they are, right? So these Aadhaar numbers should be matched exactly the way they are. So I'm going to use the VLOOKUP in the exact match. So I'm gonna make it collapse it little and going back to home tab over here. So I'm going to put the function here VLOOKUP, and without wasting the time, let's say I'm going to zoom in a bit, and since I'm going to put it here, so I'll start with equal VLOOKUP, and we got a complete definition of this function. Looks for a value in the leftmost column of the table and then returns the value in the same row from a column you specify. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. So VLOOKUP. Now these are the parameters that I was referring to. The first is VLOOKUP, another one is table array, the third is column index number. So whichever parameter you're active right now will be highlighted in bold. So I'm going to put it here so you can watch it carefully. So what is the value we are looking up? Of course, we are looking up Aadhaar number. So we want to match these Aadhaar numbers along with the Aadhaar numbers, and then we want to get an answer. So I've got a VLOOKUP here, and lookup value is this. Where do you want to look up? Table array. Where? You might see table, array, list, all means the same thing. Where? Where means here. So I'm going to select all these columns. Now, although I need my answer is in column C, but as you have seen, I have selected more columns. So it hardly matters, doesn't matter. You can select more column, but not less. Your value would come from the third parameter, which is the column index number. Which column has your answer? Now my answer may be in first column, second column, third column, fourth column. Now it doesn't say column number. If it says column number, I would say 1, 2, 3. Right? Although it is 1, 2, 3, but index number means the first column will be number 1, where you have actually put in your comment box in the chat, or in the chat. If you're watching this later, put it in the comment box. What do you think? Without forwarding the video ahead, what do you think? Why I am not getting an answer? And correct answer, I will put a heart symbol on it to ensure that everybody knows that this is a correct answer. So I am not getting an answer here. Is my formula correct? I'm gonna expose this formula for a second so you can see. Now some of you, even though if you put in a 0 for you, I'll do it. It will not make a difference. Some of you might say I need to approximate match. Approximate match will not work because these are not I don't want to find an approximate value of the Aadhaar number. I want to find an exact value. So some of you might say I need a false. I put a false, still nothing. So I'm not getting an answer here. Or if you simply put a comma, so I'm not getting an answer. Now at this point, most of you will start to doubt your formulas or your solving capabilities. But it's not always the case. Now in most of the time what happens is somebody is working on this file and it just get fallen into your lap and you know nothing about the file. You have not prepared this file, did you know? Who prepared this file? Probably somebody. Now this file has fallen into your lap and now you want to know what is going on. So if I look at this Aadhaar number, is this Aadhaar number not here? 78903274. If I scroll down and the last number is 3274. Let's see, 3274 should be here. 3274, let me search it. 3274. Do I have it? 3274. First thing I must tell you that you don't need to doubt your formula solving capability on the sheet. Now, if you basically look at these, both the Aadhaar numbers, you might think that these are the same. But if you look closely, what is happening here? Let me bring it back. So let me erase this. Right. Okay. So if I take a look at this, what do you see here in the formula bar? What do you see? It's just a pure number, right? It is 88300748195. No dashes. And you see dashes here. And you might be surprised, where are these dashes coming from? If you want to know why these dashes are coming from, please put a comment in the chat box or in the comments that you want to know where are these dashes coming from, why I'm seeing the dashes there when there is no dash. Now put a comment there and I will in my upcoming sessions, I will include this session as well. Over here, I see dashes here too. Do we have a dash here? Yes, there is a physical dash. Here, I see a dash, but it's not there. Here, I see a dash and it's already there in the formula bar. So, what is happening here is there are physical dashes, and these dashes that you're looking at are not actually dashes. If you double click, it's just a number. And if you double click here, sorry, if you double click here, there is a physical dash. So what does it mean? So of course, these numbers will not match. How do I fix it? I simply select this data, go to Control H, find what? Find dash and replace with nothing. We want to remove it. So I want to replace it with nothing. Boom. You get an answer here. So I have an answer. I've got all the compensations here. And now you might say, okay, why these numbers? They have so many commas in there, because it's just a format of these numbers. Let me just copy this down, format painter, and now both these numbers look like the same. Now, as most of you might have already guessed, these dashes are just a virtual dashes that's just a format. And if you still want to know how to get that, put it in the comment. I will create a video. So we have these Aadhaar numbers here, these Aadhaar numbers matched, and we got a compensation here. So the lesson here is, don't always doubt your formulas. Your formulas could be right as well. There is nothing wrong. So always double verify your data. It needs to be correct. Maybe it's correct, maybe not. So without wasting time, just a quick recap. So we had these Aadhaar numbers here. We wanted to match these. We have these Aadhaar numbers, employee name, compensation, and their dependents. Most of these data is of these columns are of no use, but still it's there. So we had in another file, in another sheet, and somewhere else we had these departments, these Aadhaar numbers, hire date, compensation, and these number of years and these compensations. And our target was to calculate the compensation based on these Aadhaar numbers. And we did the VLOOKUP formula, and it actually worked, and we got the answer. Earlier we were not getting an answer because the Aadhaar numbers contained, one set contained physical dashes, other set contains virtual dashes, just a format. Now we fixed that and we have an answer, compensation. If you have any doubt, any question, put it in the comment box or in the chat box. I'll take it up from there. Remember, this is a live session. So let's move on. Now we already know how do we use the VLOOKUP. It was just a basic recap of the VLOOKUP session. Now let's move on to the nested VLOOKUP, a VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP. Now over here, let's take a look at this sheet. Now we have these employee IDs. We have their hours, how many hours they worked. We have their pay rates. And we have their gross pay. Now most of you might think that pay rate is gross pay is equal to pay rate multiply gross pay. That's not the case. It's actually pay rate multiplied by 80. So we have their dependents, how many dependents they have. We also have this state, which state they're working. And of course, you might have already guessed, we need to calculate their regional tax rate. Okay, sounds good. And we have a rate table here. Okay, it's also good. Now, this rate table, if you look at this, we have north, east, west, south, and central. And over here, we have states. How I'm going to do that? I have a state. Of course, sales commission as per the dependents you have. So, we want to calculate here, if you are in east zone, east region. And like in this example, let me highlight that. If you are in east region, Arunachal Pradesh is in east region. So if you are in east regions and if you have three dependents, if you are in east region and you have three dependents, your tax rate should be 5%. If you are in south region and you have two dependents, your tax rate is again 5%. So based on number of dependents and based on the region that you are on, the tax rate will be there. So how do we calculate it? Because we got a states here and we got a region there. So it doesn't look possible right now. But let's take a look. On to the right, if I scroll to the right, I have some states which I'm converting them into different regions. And over here we have almost all of them. So first thing, you might have already guessed what we will do. We will first convert these states into regions. For that we will use a VLOOKUP function. Equal VLOOKUP. Lookup value is this state. Look up this state where? Here. And give me an answer in column 2. Second is my column. Second column I have the answer. And it says index number. So index number will be 2, starting column U. And do I need an exact match or an approximate match? Put it in the comments. I need an exact match. So I put a comma here. And I press enter and I'll get an answer. East. Great. So in Excel, we type formula only once and then we double click, copy it down. So we got regional tax rates here. We got east. Now we have regions here. Regions gonna help, but how I do use this table here? So now I will be using another VLOOKUP function to convert these regional regions into a tax rate. Of course, you can do it in different columns, but in our example, we will do it in only first column, in this column only. So I'm going to use a VLOOKUP before this VLOOKUP, because this VLOOKUP is a value. So VLOOKUP, lookup value. What is the lookup value? Lookup value is the value that I received from this. I'm going to put in F9 so you can see this is east. So east, look up this value and double click. So VLOOKUP, look up what? Look up this value. Whatever value is coming from this function, look up this value. And I don't care what is the value there. In other words, Excel is saying I don't care what is the value. Just look up this value, comma, table array. Where is your table array? This is my table array. This is my array, right? Of course, I'm going to select this region as well, right? So this is my table array. And because I've selected a particular range, I'm going to absolute it. So function F4 and I absolute it and it's locked. So now I have a region east and my table array is this range. Which column has my answer? Which column has my answer? My answer is in different regions have different columns depending upon different dependents. So every column for a formula, every column is a different column. So which column has my answer? Depends on, so your answer, if I'm asking which column has my answer, so you might say column number 3, this M, right? So column number 3 depends on how many, where you getting 3 from, number of dependents you have. If I use this in here, you would say column number 2. So 2 has my answer. So depending upon how many dependents you have, my dependents is 3. So column index number. Now index number you can type 3, you can type 3 in some other cell and you can refer it, or you can use a formula like in this example. It's already there, so we just referred it. Or you can use a formula 2 plus 1, which will give you an answer. Now it says column index number is 3, right? Now index number, remember the concept of index number. Index number starts from where you have selected the range, and I have selected the range from column J, and our index number means number 3. So 1, 2, 3. If I press enter now, it will give me answer from column 2, which will be incorrect. So what do I want to do is, my answer will be from the index number for this example only. 1, 2, 3, 4. One column ahead of the previous column, ahead of dependents. How many dependents you have? 3. So my column index number will be 3 plus 1. In the second example, it will be 2 plus 1. Why 2 plus 1? Because 2 will start from here, not here. Here it is 2, but index number will start from here. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So E2 plus 1. And do I need an exact match or an approximate match? Put your answer in the chat box. What kind of match do I need? In this example, we need an exact match. And I'm going to put a comma here. And I close the parentheses. I press enter. You got an answer 5%. And in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy it. And we got an answer here. I'm going to expose this formula for you so you can see it. And if you have a question, why we did this, why not this, why that, please put your questions, comments in the comments, and I will try to answer all of those. I'll try to answer all of those, and if required, I will also create another video if you have any questions or doubts, or a doubt session. So over here, like we see, we used a VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP. So we are actually nesting these functions. So this is a pure example, a straightforward example of a nested VLOOKUP, a VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP. And you might say, okay, sir, can I do another nested, maybe some other function, a nested XLOOKUP? Of course you can do it. As long as there is a parameter, you are using another function to get an answer, you are nesting those functions. So it doesn't matter. So we got here VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP. So if you have questions, doubts, please put it in the chat box, comment box, and I'll take it up from there. Let's move on to the next function over here in our example today in the live session. Sunday live. Remember, this Sunday live happens every Sunday 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Please hit like if you're liking this, subscribe to this channel, and share this with your colleagues, with your friends. These kind of learning will help you land into. It's very important for data analysts, data scientists, if you're doing internship or dealing with any kind of data. I'm going to back into the previous session that we did, the index function that we did. Just kind of a quick recap what we did in the last session, so as to know, because we will be doing nested index match together. So, and I've got a very beautiful example of that. In this example, in this index function, if you have now already attended the previous session of last week's session, this might have already been covered. You can skip it if you already know, or it's a quick watch. So here we can see we have some shipping zones and we have some items. I have some shipping zone. I have some items here. I've got the sizes and shipping zone. So different sizes, different shipping zones. I'm going to do a fast forward kind of a stuff here because we have already covered in depth in the previous session. So we have some items that I want to ship it to different zones, and they are of different sizes. So for example, if I want to ship an item of, let's say, size number 3 and zone number 4, how much do I need to pay? Size number 3, zone number 4, 2473. So here I should be getting 2473. And this kind of a table you might have seen in the post office. If you ever go to post office, you might want to ship a package to some state or some city. They would say, okay, based on the package weight and where you are sending it, you will be charged. In this example only, we are using the same theory. We have some size of the packages, the zones, and we want to calculate shipping cost. Remember, we are only using the index function right now. We're not using index and match together. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see it clearly and make it a little column wider, although it's not necessary. Equal index. Now it says here returns a value of or reference of the cell at the intersection of a particular row and column in a given range. And that's what we want here. They are actually intersecting at a different single range. So wherever they are intersecting, we need an answer. So if you come across any situation like this where you need an intersecting value, remember index function is your answer. So equal index array, where array you might have already known now, list, array, table array, where it means where to, and here to. So I'm gonna absolute it because I'm gonna copy this down. Remember, if you're selecting a range, you can need to absolute this, comma, row number. Which row has my answer? My row number is, of course, not, these are not row numbers, these are row numbers. Size is my row number, this size, M2, or row number 2. And column is the shipping zone. Whatever the shipping zone, it's a column. I press enter and you got an answer 2130. So if you're shipping size number 2 to zone number 4, you are going to pay 2130, which is correct. And we got that. So I'm going to remove this, and in Excel we type formula only once and then we got an answer here. So we got calculated all the values wherever they are intersecting. Remember 24.73. So wherever they are intersecting, we are getting an intersection value. So whatever is intersecting, we are getting those values wherever, based on the row number and the column number. Remember this concept, row number and column number. Now let's move on to the match function. Over here in the match function we did the last time, we want to match these Aadhaar numbers in this column wherever they are. So we used a function here called match, equal match, lookup value. You know that this is the value we are looking up. Where? Lookup array. Where? Here. And we want an exact match or approximate match or a greater than match or a less than match. We want an exact match. And press enter. It is number 7. And why number 7? What is number 7? Please put your answer in the comment box. For every correct answer, I'll put a heart symbol so everybody knows that it is a correct answer. It's row number 7 has my answer. Now this has given me 7 because it says that row number 7 has your answer. 13 row number has your answer. 29 row number has your answer. I'm not going to do that, but it is giving us the row number. Remember row number 1, 2, 3 index function row number. So one part is coming from the match function. Now you know how we are going to nest them together. We have the column number. Let's move on to this function here, nested index match. Now it's an alternative to the VLOOKUP function. So there could be some situations when you cannot use a VLOOKUP function. It's the finest and the most appropriate alternative to the VLOOKUP function when you cannot use a VLOOKUP function. See, VLOOKUP has its limitation, and you might say, okay, what is the limitation of VLOOKUP function? Let's watch it out. On this sheet, let's use the VLOOKUP function and put the answer in the comment box if you can use a VLOOKUP function on this sheet without rearranging the order of columns. So let me brief you the situation here. What are that we are trying to do? We got some names here. Okay, we got the compensation and we got their Aadhaar numbers. Remember, I don't want to repeat that. These are random generated numbers. Don't try to get a phone connection with this. It's not going to help. So we got some names here. We got compensation. We got the Aadhaar numbers here. And in another sheet, maybe in another file, maybe in somewhere else, we got these Aadhaar numbers here. Now, we want to calculate the compensation. Now, of course, we have these Aadhaar numbers here. We have these Aadhaar numbers here. We want a compensation. Can I use a VLOOKUP function? Put your answer in the comment box. I cannot rearrange the order of columns. That's the first point. So let's try to use a VLOOKUP function. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna zoom in a bit, make this column wider and zoom in a bit so you can watch it carefully. what happens if you try to use a VLOOKUP. So equal VLOOKUP, lookup value, of course this is the value we want to look up, comma, table array. Where is the table array? This is the table array. A to C, column index number. Now which column has my answer? My answer is in -1. This will be 1, this will be 0, this will be 0, or this will be -1. If I go on the number line, if I go to the leftward, it will be 1, 0, -1. So over here, if this is 1, this will be 0, this will be -1, right? Or you might say, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. In either way, let me use 2. If this is 2, comma, do I get an answer? No. If I use 0, because on the number line this is 1, so this is 0, this is -1. So I use 0 and I put a comma. Do I get an answer? No. Why? Because this has a limitation. You cannot get an answer, look for the value on the left, on the right, and get an answer from the left. You can always look from the left and get an answer from the right. That's a limitation. Now we cannot use a VLOOKUP function here. Let's imagine you are using 2016 Excel, and if you're using Excel 2016 or the previous version of Excel, you also cannot use XLOOKUP function. So what is the how do you want to find it? What is the other function you can use? So the only other function you can use is a combination of index and match together. That's it. So over here, index function. So remember, match function will give me the row number. If I use a match function, I will get a row number. So I'm going to use a match function here. Match. Which value? This value. And before we do, let me clear your doubt that are these physical dashes or these virtual dashes? These are virtual dashes, and this is also a virtual dash. So don't worry. So equal match this Aadhaar number, comma, where? Here. And do I need an exact match? Of course I need an exact match. And press enter. I get an answer 28. And I can copy this down. Some of them I'm not getting because maybe they're not the part of it, but we will cover that. So this may not be there. So 28, 15, 17. So 15 is the row number. So it is there. 7721, and over here 7721. So it's a match. So these may not be in this list. So don't worry. This is a separate list. So that's okay. So now I have a row number. And to get an answer, to get a, now I have a row number. So these row numbers I've got, right? Now I need an intersection value of where these Aadhaar numbers are intersecting. Please give me the compensation. Please give me the compensation. So wherever they are intersecting, please give me the compensation. And which function we want to use here is the index function. It's just the index function. So I'm going to use the index function here. So index, where is the array? This is my array, comma, row number. Remember, row number is something we are getting now from the match function. Match function is giving us the row number. If I debug this, I'll get 28. This is the row number. So row number is something I'm getting from the match function. So my array is this. Remember, you can select more columns, doesn't matter. And row number is this. Now pay attention. What does it say? What do you see here? Column number. It says column number. It doesn't say column index number, unlike VLOOKUP function. So in VLOOKUP function, you get column index number, but over here you are getting a column number. Now which column has my answer? Of course, this will start 0, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, or let's see. I don't know. Let's see. So what if I press 1? So 1 means is this one or this one? Start from 0. So I press 1 and close the parentheses. Keep an eye. You will get here the name. So this is the first column. And so I need a compensation. So I'll put here number 2. So this is my second column, and I'm getting a compensation here. And if I put number 3, what do I get? If I put number 3, I will get Aadhaar number. So I've got all these numbers here. I've got compensation, I've got name here, and I've got compensation, all of 3 of them. So since I need a compensation, so I'm going to put in number 2, I press enter, I've got compensation here. And in Excel, we type formula only once and then we copy. So we got compensation of all these Aadhaar numbers. Hey, sir, what about these where we are not getting an answer? In this case, we can use a combination of if error. So I'm going to use if error, if error, if this function, if this entire function gives me an error, if this entire function give me an error, just type in not found. So I'm going to put in not found in double quotes, close the parentheses, press enter. Nothing will change here. Of course, you will see change here and not found. So we have nested 3 functions here: if error, index, and match together. So I'm gonna expose this for now, so you can see this. So we have used if error, index function, and match function together. Remember, this is a great way when you cannot use a VLOOKUP function, when you cannot rearrange the order of your columns in the previous version of Excel. And otherwise, XLOOKUP is something you should be using here in this example. It's a perfect example of an XLOOKUP. However, in some cases, let's say you're not using Microsoft Office 365. In that case, you can only, or you are using 2016 or 2019 where XLOOKUP is not there. So in that example, in those cases, you can use index and match. This is the only alternative of a VLOOKUP when you cannot rearrange the order of columns. So I hope this helps you understand the power of index and match together. So together they can beat any function. So very useful function, index and match, nested index and match together. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you're liking this, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Every Sunday I do a YouTube live 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and I also post Excel 1-minute video where you can learn various tips of Excel in less than 1 minute. It's like a short. These are very short videos, 1 to 2 minutes videos, more than 1 minute or less than 2 minutes. Or I try to make it only 1 minute video. So in 1 minute, I'll try and explain the entire concept so you can watch it very quickly. Please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. So let's move on with this. Another function which is a very interesting function, which is basically used for a documentation purpose. Now we got this compensation here, we got this new compensation here. So here is a function that I've already used, a roundup function. So don't worry how this function is used. I will explain that later when we do the mathematical functions. This round function is a part of maths functions. So when we use the math function, when we do that math function, I will then explain how to use this round function. But we are now on a chapter formula text. And as you might have already guessed, this function will actually convert the formula into a text version of it. So what does it mean? Formula into a text? So let's take a look at it. So, and when does it get used? So let's imagine you are in a data analyst role, or maybe forensic analysis, or in a cyber analysis. So you might want to document everything. So documentation means documenting every step. Let's say we want to document this formula. Which formula is used? We want to show which formula is actually used. So it can be closer to the next to the cell where you have used the formula, or it can be far away from it. So let's say it is very closer to the cell. So I'm gonna zoom in a bit. I'm gonna make it column wider and zoom in a bit so you can see this. So I'm gonna use this formula here. It's a pretty simple formula, formula text. And which formula text do I want to use? This formula. I press enter. It will show you what formula is used. And for documentation purpose, we can use it. Maybe you can combine this with equal and I'm going to use this equal formula used, sorry, and with and I'll combine this and formula text and press enter. So over here it will give me a proper documentation of which formula I have actually used. So formula used, this formula, or some other formula that you want to use. Let's say you want to use another formula here. Let's say we want to calculate the average of this compensation. So I'm going to use average of this compensation and press enter. And similarly, maybe I want to use the max compensation, so, or the minimum compensation, right? So, and the total compensation. So I'm going to use this formula here. So this is average. So I'm going to use equal greater than symbol dash dash dash. I'll type here average formula used dash dash dash, sorry, and less than symbol and double quotes. Remember, if you're typing something, you need to use it in double quotes. And over here, I'll also want to use double quotes. If you're whatever you're typing, you have to use it in text. It has to be in double quotes. And formula text. And which formula? This K5. Press enter. And over here, you can use. Let me fix that. Not average formula used. And double click. And similarly, now I cannot copy this because I have. If I copy this, of course, you have this, but I want to change this. This is not average. This is what I've used, max compensation. So I can type it here, max compensation, and over here I can say minimum compensation, and over here total compensation. Here also I'll want to add average compensation. So you can use this, as you might have already guessed now. So what is the use of this function? Of course, this function is used for documentation purpose. Only documentation. Only when you want to document something, you can use these functions. But more or less useful function when you want to present which formulas you have used, actually how you came to this calculation, what is the scope of this formula. You can use these functions, formula text, to present your work. Remember, presentation is equally important than same as analysis. As a part of your data analyst or data scientist, you might want to also showcase how, what approach you have used, how you came up to this conclusion. Okay, so with this formula text is all, should be all clear. Let's move on to the unique function, a brand new function launched recently in Microsoft Office 365. Remember, unique function is a very beautiful function. Now, earlier we used to have a problem to find out how many unique items are there. So what we do, it's a kind of an alternate to the maybe remove duplicates. So we have remove duplicates on the data tab where you can remove the duplicates. The problem with remove duplicates is it will simply remove the duplicates. It will not tell you which duplicates he has removed. So it will simply remove the duplicates and will tell you that, okay, I have removed the duplicates. Okay, thank you very much. But I want to know what duplicates you have removed. Maybe I don't want to remove duplicates. I want to extract the unique items. So with this, Excel has introduced a function only for 365 users, unique function. So what does it do? Let's say over here, it's an array function. It's a part of an array family. Now, when you say what is an array family, let's take a look at, let's see that in action. So over here, I want to see how many different departments are there. I don't want to remove the departments. I don't want to remove the duplicates. I want to see how many unique departments are here. So I'll use a function here called unique, and I select the entire column. You can begin with. I press enter. It will spill it. It will spill to the bottom. It will show you how whatever unique items are there. It will simply give it to you that. Let's say we got department manufacturing, add count admin, and if you add something new, let's say I add ADC sales. So if you add something new, keep an eye here. I press enter. I've got ADC sales here and ADC here. If you remove something, and it's a kind of a live function, whatever changes you make, it will happen right away because it's an array function. Now it is also important to note that when you actually use this function, you should not have anything written. You need to provide enough space in there. Let's say I use this function unique, and this time I'll select only the range wherever I want. I press enter, and I'll get a spill error. Why spill error? Because you are not providing formula the enough space to showcase the results. So if I remove test, keep an eye, boom, you get an answer. Now it will show you all the different unique departments. But if I use, because I've used the range, if I use the entire column, what do I get? I get additional DPT, which is of course the header, and a 0. 0 denotes for blanks. So I don't want to use that. I'll simply use B2 to B742, which is my last cell, and I get an answer here. How do I know? We just see here 742. And maybe you want to see what are the different benefits that you have. So equal unique, and we got different benefits. I press enter, we got an header. Now it may also be possible that several people are working on this sheet and you don't want to interrupt them. You want a unique version of those data. So I'm going to create a new sheet here, and I put a unique here, and whatever unique values, unique rows are coming in here, just show me those. And I press enter, and I get all the unique data. And of course we can format it. That should not be a problem. So I can simply copy this format, go back here and apply it. So we can format it. So we have all the departments and dates here. Remember, we can format this by date, and we have the compensation, number of years, and salary. Now the idea here is, remember, so the idea here is, if I go down here, I've got 0000. I'm not going to make any change here in this sheet. Whatever changes you are going to make here, let's say I added 4160 is the last cell. 4160, you would see here 4160. If I add a new item here, let's say 4562 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? And I press enter, and you have this entry here. And if I put maybe a date here, let's say I copy maybe 24th March 24, and I get a date here, and over here 24th March 2024. Now if I copy this item, let's say if I copy this item, let's say I create a duplicate 743, over here I've got 743. Let's say I create different copy of this. Let's say, how about this one? Let's say, and different copies. Do I get more values there? These are all duplicates. Do I get more values? No. Why? Because those I'm only getting the unique data. So this is another way of getting the unique data from a list where several people are putting the data in there. You can only see whatever is unique in there, and you'll always get the unique items. And this is an array function, so you don't have to change anything. It will automatically keep on updating. As soon as you update there, it will keep on updating. If I make a new entry here, let's say I make it 8 and in 759, but do I get it in 759? No, I'll get it in the other row 745, and maybe this is also duplicate. I make here 00000, enter, and If I go here it is. So you can see how this is going to work. So we will always be getting the unique items. Remember, very easy formula, equal unique. It's an array function available for 365 users. With this, it's the end of the time today. We are almost on time. So I thank you very much for joining in with me live today. And I really appreciate. Please like and subscribe and share this video with all your colleagues, your friends, wherever you might think who might get help. This is a free online session, only training sessions, nothing else. So please support by subscribing to this channel and liking this video. Thank you very much. We will be connecting next week on Sunday 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Thank you. Bye bye.